Good morning and welcome to Saturday Special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Religion, in one form or the other, has always been a part of the human life. Call it a cult, call it a group, or call it a religion, is the same thing. However, religion is various manifestations is always there, but some cults, some groups, some organizations became very organized. But there are some spiritual practices exist outside the sanctions of organized religion. When religion was amorphous, undefined, and consisted only of rituals, it was wild religion, outside the pale of the organized religion. And religion can never be tamed. Even the organized religions have their offshoots which are unorganized and become wild. But what if there is important and intuitive spiritual need that is not being satisfied with the organized world culture? And that's why you would see the existence of so many godmen who indulge in those practices which followers of the organized religion call it heretic, call it unscientific. For example, shamans, tattooing, worship of witches, recalling of the souls, and the existing of these peers and babas in India and Pakistan and all over. So, what would happen if we could gain important insights into what is called the wild religions? What is the ways in which religions address misfortune? Turns out to be key to success. For example, in India, apart from the fact and aside from the fact that the followers of Hinduism should have only the Vedic and the Sanatana Dharma aspect, we still find witches and astrologers holding a sway which should have no place in that organized religion. Sikhs are not supposed to have it, and yet you see the existence of Babas. Practically every village has its own guru. There is one sect, and then some of these wild religions organize themselves and become a new religion. There is one such group near Amritsar, another one in Agra, and so on, hundreds of them. In Morocco, for example, if a family member falls ill, a devout Muslim may well bypass the confines of religion and visit a Marabu. Marabu is a mystic healer who operates more or less underground. And in Pakistan, peas and mazars, unlimited ones. And then they go in for mystic healing, taweez they call it. They blow the air, the magical air on you. They make water a healing thing. They recite something, blow into the water and ask you to drink it. Similarly, the Marabu in Morocco may take a piece of paper with the words of Quran written in it, dip the paper into a glass of water, offer the glass of water to the visitor to be sipped for healing. And now this ritual, which is followed by number of people in Pakistan and India, in Morocco and other parts of the world, has no sanction as far as Islam is concerned, but persisted and is still being practiced today. So mystic healing, shamanism, ancestor worship, voodoo, warding of spirits, tarot cards even, and other means of divine. These are the practices found in world's many wild religions. And these are the practices which fascinate anthropologists and psychologists to find out the cognitive science of religion. Now, let's not deny that these religions, the wild religions, have existed. much before the emergence of the organized religions in the prehistoric societies. They are found today in small scale tribal and traditional societies, but they persist alongside the organized religions in the most large scale societies. For example, Garos and Khasis and other tribes, about 100 of them, have their own system, their tribal traditions, which are not part of the Hindu religion. As I said, Sikhs have their own by-lanes and by-lanes of the religion, which are not a part of it. Islam, same thing. Christianity, the same thing. So these wild religions existed before the emergence in prehistoric societies, and now they are still there. So looking beyond and continuing prevalence, these wild religions have been largely ignored and treated superficially. As a result, the society's prevailing attitude toward religion has been distorted by the ones we are familiar with. We are familiar with Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism. But we have forgotten that a great deal of religious activity is happening behind these doctrines and is being practiced in the margin. And this is an unfortunate thing. Existing outside and within organized and tamed religions, I call them tamed because the parameters have been set. These practices of wild religions are authentic expressions of spontaneous spirituality, and they hold secret that can contribute to a much richer understanding of the psychology of a whole. I mean, say they are not absolute; they are the basic, catering to the basic needs of the man. Why, what, and how people believe. So they have an important role to play, and by no stretch of imagination can you bypass them. Different scholars have different ways of trying to boil religion to a single thing. Let's be very clear, I don't deny it. But I think one of the hallmarks is that these religions look for something of a magic bullet. And in fact, these religions, these cults, these groups, these practices, they fractionate religion into myriad components. Then the question is, they cater to the most basic need of mankind. Why me? Initially, it was the protection of an individual, then it became the expression of the family, then the social group as a whole. Unlike doctrinal religions like Brahminic and non-Brahminic religions, while religions do not focus on heady matters such as the origin of the world, the root of the evil, the salvation of the soul, that's not the concern of these people. Let me tell you, they are focused with the immediate pragmatic goals: curing someone of a disease, ensuring crop success, getting a son, the neighbor's death, the relation's death. They want your enemy to die. Ensuring and finding out why some people suffer a calamity while others don't. So they are a way of dealing with the witches, ancestors, ghosts, spirits, and so on. But they do not deal with the higher level of things like soul, salvation, origin of the world, and so on. And this difference is extremely crucial. Let's not deny that. And it leads to a better and broader understanding of the psychology of religion. These religions, wild religions, outside the pale of organized religion, activate universal cognitive system concerned with the threat, research, precaution, and detection. They what are the immediate threat and give us solution to the crazed people. Not that they are affected, they may not be, but other religions can be affected. But sometimes they are. So, in essence, they deal with the deep-seated cognitive response to risk, actively fighting for safety and a solution, as opposed to fleeing or freezing. and they help to explain the emergence and survival of the wild religions across the globe. Every culture, every country, every has it. As a matter of fact, when misfortunes happens, a very common human response is, why me? And these religions respond to that question. The way the religion traditions address misfortune is crucial to their success. And if they're successful in one case, then it becomes exponentially, and that guru, that pir, that rishi, whatever you want to call it, that leader, that seer, assumes gigantic proportion in the minds of the people. And with that in mind, we can see the dynamic of the religious change from undocumented, individualistic to highly documented, circumscribed, full of rituals, parameters of do's and don'ts that decide the organized religion. Now, they test the hypothesis that the wild traditions tend to enjoy a sticky advantage with the culture. Let's not deny it, we have to accept it. That these wild traditions, outside the pale of religion, and many times it happens that those systems, those cults, those wild religions are at absolute variance with the main religion. But then they are there. And that is where the strength lies. That despite being at variance, at in a conflict rather with a strict canonical order, they still are accepted by the same people who call themselves to be devout to that religion. I refer to you the system of blowing in water and taking it's very common in the Muslims and it's very common in the Sikhs even. So the whole thing is, for example, in Sikhism, when the people go to Golden Temple or to any temple, and the water is washed, the floor is cleaned, and after the cleaning, the last water which the floor is clean comes and is placed in a receptacle. People go and drink it. They think that they'll be healed. And that's no part of the Sikh religion. So, and then in a modern society, these non-doctrinal religions are extremely influential politically because they have their own followers in that area, in that group. So they lend support to one party, a non-political leader, their devotees flock to that leader. And that gives them a great success. And that's why you would see, and I've seen it in India, the political leaders flock to those people who belong to non-traditional religion, who have carved themselves a niche in the organized religions, and under the umbrella of the organized religion, they carry out their practices which are absolutely diametrically opposed to those religions. So to fully understand human religious capabilities, human religious dispositions, the fact that human beings are primarily cowards, and to cater to the need to ensure safety, it's a safety net, let's not deny it. So you cannot only focus on the tame conditions. The ancient spontaneous form of religion gave birth to these wild religions. Look at what is shaman in Africa, voodoo, Latin America. Even in Christianity you will see the groups are always there. That's why the Quakers and the Seventh-day Adventists and all those people came into being. So every religion at one time or the other has been seeing and witnessing this sort of mystic society. And then let's not forget, these religions, if you call them religion, they are not religion, but then because religion is something organized, they are unorganized. They are not spread over a wide. It's a small, tiny, minuscule, but taken together, they form a huge majority of the people. And then the fact arises that they cannot be tamed. And then they are persistent like weeds because they are catering to the primeval need of the mankind for safety, for consolation, for reclining on. No, the organized religion may not give that sort of individualistic help which these wild religions give. You go to a pir or a fakir and he gives you a certain ash to rub on your head, or give you a piece of paper on which the scripture is written, tell you to go put it in a glass of water and then drink it. No, the organized religions don't have that. So what they did, they came the other way around. I have yet to see any individual who doesn't go to 90% of people who go to, for example, Golden Temple and want to have a sip of the holy tank. The water at Lourdes, part of the Christianity, the same what Golden Temple is to Sikhs, Lourdes in France is a part of Christianity. But they are wild. They are not basically the part of the organized setup. Now, organized religion is, as I told you, has certain parameters, and you can't cross them. And yet, within that, these wild religions operate like cactus. They grow up, they expand. They are prickly, especially as far as the the organized religion is concerned. But they have their say. And by no stretch of imagination can you ever ignore those. So, these wild religions were there right from the day the creation began. And they exist side by side with the organized religion. And they cater to a much more important part because they cater to the mankind's fear at individual level. They are in fact a combination of therapy, aunt agony, they listen to your problem and then you feel relief. So psychologists, psychiatrists and therapists all combined in one, and their importance in no way can be minimized.